evening all. I know it's a bit cold, but I thought I'd just give you a run round on coolant and potential places where it's going to disappear out of. Right, firstly, obviously the tank itself. This can crack, the cap can go weak. When the pressure gets too high or the cap has gone weak, what will happen is it'll dump it down the back end of the tank. There is a tiny slot in the middle of it which you can't see unless you take the cap off, and it'll disappear down there and dribble off down onto your tray, should you still have one, and you may not even notice anything because it'll just dry up on the tray. Obviously there are various pipes where this goes. Now this here is your standpipe, the big plastic thing pointing up. This proves you've had the hardware fitted for the recall. It's got a sensor in there that senses when the level drops, and in theory should be telling you that your coolant's low and you need to sort it out. Right, next point of call, come over his side. There is water pipes going down the back end of here, and it comes round. Now this is going to be difficult for me to do unless I can get in through the back of here, but essentially concentrating on there, down the back of here, and on the side of the head there is a plastic pipe. It's not very easy to see. This blue motor that's here, that's a water diverting valve. It diverts the water. It's connected to a big plastic manifold that bolts to the side of the head. There is also a pipe that runs across the back of it. That pipe also loops round towards the turbo. It's a common point that could fail. It's failed on mine. It split, it cracked, and it spewed everywhere. Next, whether you'll be able to see this, but down the back of there, on the bulkhead, it's not really easy to see. I'm going to come around this side. You can just about make them out. There's two pipes going in there which feed your matrix. They can split, break, they can also leak. The one side comes out, it goes down the back of here, right the way down the back to a very small motor. That small motor pumps the water around when your stop-start is working to maintain it. I don't think you'll be able to see it, or you might just. You can just about make it out. It's got that bolt on it just down the bottom with the letter R on it. Down there, down below where that letter R is where the pump sits. It could leak from there. Other than that, you're talking radiators and taking the bottom off. It could be from the water pump, it could be from this down here, which is another diverter. That's where your thermostat lives, in there, and obviously you could leak out of there as well. So that's pretty much covers where your coolant leaks, other than in the footwell, as we all know. So there you go, guys. And obviously this is the infamous piece that snaps off the crossover pipe. That pipe feeds down into here, it then splits off, it goes into here, into the inlet manifold, and basically, I don't know whether we can see, there it is there. That is your evap purge valve. Now that can cause all kinds of problems, especially if you fill up and then you suddenly have a problem with it, like not running correct or not starting properly or something like that. It can sometimes be open when it should be shut. They do fail, and it's a bit of a pain because it's stuck in a solid plastic pipe. I have seen some kits where you can kind of budget to kind of fit, But this plastic pipe which goes down here, round here, up back there, is all to do with the EVAP fuel purging, and unfortunately it's about 150–160 quid, so try not to break it if you can. Obviously if this bit here snaps off, then potentially you could get some silicone tube over the top of it and then match it onto there, some Jubilee clips or something, just to make sure that you've got something going between there and there. But that's pretty much it. Another thing to look out for is with your clutch, if it starts making squeaky funny noises when you're pushing the clutch pedal down, then chances are that you may have a fluid leak. Put your hand on there and feel if it feels oily. If it does feel slightly oily, then you're gonna need a replacement master cylinder, and the master cylinder being buried, and I can't even see it because it's right the way back down there. You might just see a couple of the pipes. It has to be taken from inside the cockpit. It does not come out the engine route. It's a pain to do. Back braking because you've got to lie upside down, undoing bolts, removing parts of loom out of the way. A right pig of a job. It's doable, but it's very difficult to do. And when you take that pipe off to replace, there is a tiny rubber seal inside it. Do not lose that if ever you do it yourself, because then you're going to have to buy a whole pipe just to get a stupid rubber seal. And you put the rubber seal on to the pedal end and then push the pipe on. Don't try doing it the other way around because you won't seal it properly, as I found out the hard way. But yeah, if there's any questions anybody wants to ask about this, or interesting things I've had to do to this or whatever, feel free to PM me. Oh, and this thing here, that's your gearbox breather pipe. Half the time it falls off. I've had to tie wrap it up because it just wobbles around everywhere, disconnects itself from the gearbox and what have you. Now I don't think I'm going to be able to get down there to show the guy there. Yeah, so phones, they never focus on what you want to focus on, do they? Right, down there, see them silver brown things on the gearbox? Those are the sensors down there for knowing what gear you are in. So hence the reason the car knows when you're in second gear, third gear, fourth gear, and telling you to change up, change down and all the rest of it. Well, that's where the sensors live on the gearbox, should you need to know where they are. And obviously the cables are all plugged in there. They could get contaminated with water or whatever. So I think the only person I've seen with that is the guy recently who's posted it on our group. But for his information, that's where it lives. So there you go. Anyway, I'm going to finish because it is freezing out here.